roll call.
Chair Philip,
Here.
Commissioner Austin, Commissioner Barlow,
Here.
Commissioner Maloney, Commissioner Vandigo. Here. Commissioner Rocky.
Yep.
Commissioner Spitzel.
Here.
Councilmember Falco. You have a quorum.
Any new correspondence?
None.
Okay. So I guess everyone take a quick look at the minutes and then. Do you have a motion to approve?
So moved. Second. All in favor? Aye.
Beautiful. So I guess first off, Tina Winstead. So I guess you had reached out, correct, Catherine?
Yeah.
You have, so here to talk about, sculptures in Huntington Park?
Sort of.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna say yes, but I wanna just expand that a little bit. We, honestly, and for those of you who aren't very familiar, the library's had a real focus on art for a long time. I mean, we have rotating art display, we have, digital media courses, and I wrote it down because I just had a feeling I was gonna forget. I was thinking of all the things that we do. We have an art cart for kids, we've had it for developmentally disabled people, we have a monthly craft club, we have a new knitting group, we've had old knitting groups, photography classes, digital media, and for children, when we do, digital literacy efforts, we call it STEAM, because we didn't want to miss the A. Those are, all of us were like, we want the A. We want art, that whole maker mentality to be included. Technology or not, it's part of that whole effort. But I think what you're probably most excited about hearing is the park, because we, put $1 million into the park already, and we're putting another $500,000, and the, hopefully this will slide. Well, you think I'm too far away? Does it work like a regular mouse? Like,
Yep.
oh, I think. Oh. Sorry. Now it's going wild.
Close it now.
Did you do that?
No.
I didn't either.
Hold on.
Can you control it?
Let's find out.
Okay. So this is our phase 2 of the park, and it's been a really exciting time because ULS is our landscape architects. This is a picture of really kind of the sweet spot when we're talking about art in the park. That crossroads there is just a terrible place. And as we reimagined the design for phase 2, Erin, the landscape designer, focused in on that spot, which made me so happy. That's going to become an art plaza, Crossroads Art Plaza, and even a place that it's potentially could be a small theater. Not a theater, but a place for performance or presentations. So you can scroll. This is just a timeline. It's probably not that exciting to you, but we're in the middle of next week we're going to get our 60% design documents. We've mapped it out, they've painted it for me, they've gone through all of this, and this winter we're gonna have construction documents and go to bid, and hopefully it'll start next spring and be done in the fall. And again, that's money from the parks OPRHP. So yeah, go ahead. This is the design. This is the overall design focus is, it's probably, okay, at the top, that little gazebo shaped thing, that's the entrance to the library. So we're building a nice terrace around it, which is wonderful. But then the circle, if you go down and right, that's the Art Plaza, which is going to take the place of that ugly Crossroads picture that I showed you. And above, or to the right, that's gonna be a hillside scramble where children are hopefully going to engage in play with natural things, no playground. So when we pushed this out to the community, we got some feedback. So you can go to the next slide. For that Art Plaza, we had a couple of ideas. And so the results of the ideas that we had, what kind of art? Do you want an in-ground mosaic, which is my personal favorite, that's the one I want? Or do you want a sculpture, which is the middle chart? Or do you want a water feature? Well, obviously everybody wants a water feature. And the water feature doesn't really make sense because it's gonna be a crossroads. So we've been working through how is that gonna happen? And there's actually some wonderful interactive, and I think it's pretty artistic with lights and buttons and supposedly fountains that can arc over and land into the hillside scramble and avoid any passerbys. But we'll see. That's why I'm anxious for next week to see what they've come up with and what that might cost, because that might be above and beyond the scope of our $500,000, because it does not go very far. I think, Carrie Ann, you know that better than anybody in this room probably. It does not go very far. So we're gonna be really focusing on what can we create that's artistic, that can be in that Art Plaza. That was our foundation, that's where we started. And then we started getting really excited, because as you're in the park and you see the improvements and what a difference one small improvement has made to who's hanging out in our park. I mean, people from downtown are there, families are there, every bench is taken, people are picnicking. It's just a really nice pastoral setting. And we started thinking larger. Why don't we put more art in this park? Art that can be touched even. You know, we went a little crazy. And it kind of, all of us felt like this would be a really strong way to bring people into a really lovely, I don't want to call it a passive park. There'll be active components in this park, but it's different. It's in the middle of the city. It's not playgroundy and trails. It's a different kind of park. And so we are going to work on the water feature, and I'm going to really push for still having, because that Art Plaza is about 34 feet wide. It's huge. And so that's why there's going to be some seating, and as you can tell in the hillside scramble, there'll be terraced stones, so somebody could, do a presentation or do music or, some program there. So we're still in the scheming phase. We are all about the vision. We don't have anything concrete yet, and that's why I was really hoping that you all could help me out too, because I don't know, I know sources of some money. You all probably know better than I, the cost of sculptures is like, I don't even know, is it the same as the house? I mean, they're very expensive, right?
Yeah.
So I don't,
Yeah, it is about the same as a house.
yeah. So I'm thinking, did you get that in Treadwell at the?
I did, can you see it? Yeah.
I really love that so much. I love
Jeff
that.
England was selling them,
It's such a good shirt. Anyway, I feel like cost of that kind of art is gonna be crazy. I do have a local artist. He doesn't like to call himself an artist, but he makes spheres out of metal, and there's 2, 3, and 4 leaf clovers, and I didn't think to add a picture there. I have it on my phone, but he's offering to donate that at no cost and anonymously to sort of get the ball rolling. I did not mean that pun. And I think it would have to be affixed to the center somehow, because, somebody will get hurt. Somebody will get hurt if it's rolling, which really, I mean, when you think about how wonderful that could be to have this sphere, but you can't do that. So he's offered to sort of get us kick-started. And so as far as funding for this kind of art, I don't know. And I feel like maybe my next step would be to hire somebody with a grant in the art world who can kind of map it out for us, because again, you all know way more about this than I do. I just love the idea and I want to see it happen. So I can find little money pretty easily, actually. 5, 10 grand, I can find that easily. every year. And so that's sort of as far as we've gotten. We're all about the vision right now. We're not really about any logistical anything.
What's underneath that crossroads, do you know? Have you done a survey?
Actually, that's where our drainage is,
Yeah.
which drains to these, they're big tanks underground that don't feed into the city, which I thought they did, and I just learned they don't, so they're just tanks at the foot of the hill.
So be careful, because you're
Yeah.
gonna need a foundation for anything that you put there.
So the engineers that we're teaming up, my landscape designers teamed up with Lawn Engineering, and they're well aware, and we've
Okay.
given them all the drawings, yeah, so we can make it. And that's probably what they're struggling with right now, is how to place it and where to place it. Because my thing was, we don't wanna recreate drainage.
No.
I don't wanna give a bunch of money for drainage when we can have this beautiful other thing in the park, and it works really well, we don't have drainage issues, so.
That's why mosaic or your light idea might be better.
It could be beautiful like that,
Yeah.
yeah, I would love that. And the sidewalks are diverted differently too, so it's a different, if you go back to that picture, Carrie Ann, you can see it's a different, see that, the sidewalks, you can't really see it in there, but there's dotted lines for where the old sidewalks were. So it's a different traffic pattern, which, you know how change is hard for people. It's gonna be a little tricky, but it's, I think, a really worthy thing. That's a very dangerous crossroads. That's where that gentleman died, at that crossroads, just last year. So I wanna make it pretty and safe, and I'm very excited about that, cause that, I don't know, she thought of that on her own, so I'm very excited about that phase. But again, that's one place for art, but we felt like there's a million places for art. I actually was talking to the man who's gonna donate the sphere, and you can make so many beautiful, he does metal. I mean, you know how you can make things that make music, or you can hang them, or you can just put things in trees that are intriguing and a discovery trail of sorts that are, people can't really vandalize something that's up too high. And I'm very concerned about vandalism always, but I've been told by a metal sculpture that there's a thing you can put on it so it's easy to clean. I know, that's kind of in the weeds, but that's where my brain goes sometimes, down there. So yeah, this is what we're hoping to kind of do to reinvigorate. So this is gonna change the whole landscape of the park, in my opinion. It's gonna, right around the library, it's gonna be a really beautiful space. So adding art to that would just be fabulous. So.
Well, I mean, I love what's been done already. Like I've already, used those benches myself. It's great to see in the winter time that hill is well used.
Yeah.
And it's exciting to see that there's so much more on the way.
Me too, I'm very excited. It's a lot, but it's worth it.
Yeah.
It's definitely worth it.
It's something.
Oh, have you connected with the mosaic artist that did the riverfront in Binghamton?
No.
She's amazing.
Oh, that's good to know.
I'm blanking on her name. She's my Facebook friend.
Okay.
She did it as a community project too, and it's so beautiful.
Oh, that's great. I would love to do that.
Yeah.
Community art there.
Have you been to the Secret Garden or Magic Gardens down in Philadelphia?
I haven't.
Oh my goodness.
Oh,
There's
yeah.
so much you could do in the park.
I know it. It's really, I have been to the Huntington in California, and the level there is way up there. Their children's pet areas, their whole grounds, 100 acres of beautiful landscape gardens. So it gets you just so excited about the potential. And of course, I get to be the person who has to be the, can we do it? Can we afford it? Can we maintain it person? I don't love that role, but that's kind of my role, because there's so many great ideas. And in fact, one of the team members with ULS has already, she knows somebody at Hartwick College in the art department. I can't think who, because they didn't get to make the meeting. But and she's all about community art. She's trying to think of ways we could do community art in the park. I don't have that kind of vision personally. I can't imagine it yet. So, so we're just in that phase. We're in that what's possible phase. And I'd love to have any advice that you all have for, you know, ways to go forward. You know, what?
You're working with the architect now, right?
Yeah.
And they're the ones who are proposing the light idea?
Yes.
Okay, it sounds like they're giving you some pretty good advice.
Yeah, they are.
I don't understand that crossroads, is that car traffic?
No, sidewalk.
So, and someone was killed there?
They rode their bicycle down the sidewalk going straight up is a hill,
Yeah.
coming down the hill, and they went off of the sidewalk,
Wow.
and the footing isn't great, and it was terrible.
Her name's Susan Jablon, and if I could get your email, I'll email you images of everything.
So you have $500,000 left to do what?
That whole section that you see on this map, all of the three colors, the yellow, the purple, and the red are all our $500,000 project. So
Okay.
a lot of it is a terrace, a couple of gardens, the art plaza, and that hillside scramble, and sort of a dry riverbed theme for children to explore up the hillside.
So all that money is probably pretty much allocated.
Absolutely is.
Okay.
Yes,
Well,
that's
I
why I think art's going to be add-on.
So you were asking about money. I don't know if there is any money. Is there? I mean, they've trashed the parking garage, right? We're not even doing a parking garage?
What do you mean we're not doing the parking garage?
I heard that the parking garage it's just gonna be a parking lot. The city is
Oh.
$1.5 million worth of debt, right?
Oh.
So
They haven't made any decisions on what they're doing moving forward yet.
they haven't, but we're in a tight spot, is that correct?
I mean, every municipality is, yeah.
Yeah. So do we have any money? That's the ultimate question, right?
Here, hand, give me
That's
some
it.
money.
I know, right? If it were up to me.
No. I don't really, unless you guys get a grant through this organization and identify projects. But yeah, so I don't really know how your commission functions. I was reading that there's an application for art, public art, and that you all review them.
Yeah, so the idea is, well, when we do have more funding, we would
Okay.
identify spots, do all the
Oh.
legwork to, make sure we can have something there, put out that application and
Mhm.
move forward from that.
Oh, okay.
But right now, our funding is
I see.
limited to say the least.
I see.
We have a little potential funding with the DRI,
Mhm.
but we can only use it on a small section within the city.
I'm in the DRI range though.
It's even smaller
Oh, it's
than
even
the
smaller.
yeah, and we kind of kept shrinking and shrinking. It would be great if we could somehow expand that, or at least move it to Huntington Park, since we already have a project
Yeah.
in the works. I think this would be something a lot smoother to move forward, and even if we can use what we have with that for this, I think that would kind of be the best use of what we have. But unfortunately, we don't get to decide where we're allowed to spend that. I'm assuming Greg Matisse.
Yeah, in
Yeah.
consultation with the Department of State.
So, I mean, that's something, I can push up and see what we get back. But that small chunk, which I don't even know if we have a solid number on what we actually have, yeah.
Right,
See if we can somehow get it reallocated to Huntington Park.
right.
But besides that, we're kind of in the same boat when it comes to funding,
Yep, always gotta find funding.
yeah.
If you put your two projects together, it kind of makes a stronger case for something. It's like,
Yeah,
well,
exactly.
even just looking at this, there's something already in the works, and then if we kind of move into, I think that could work.
I'd be in favor of that.
Yeah, so, yeah, I can see what we can do with that.
It would be,
And it's
the
in
first step.
view of the artist lofts too. I mean,
I
it seems
know.
like there's an argument to be
I know.
made.
I'm very excited about that too, that,
On top of that NBT bank, that white wall has been one of my dream walls to get a mural on, but that's.
wait, the one that faces the library?
The one that faces the library is just a giant white wall. The whole back little parking lot area is ripe for murals.
Yeah, absolutely.
Someone wanted to do a giant railroad train coming.
I know.
Wow.
I know. Well, I'd like to see that fence that Chuck Klugo has along the street there. So there's an alleyway from Main Street that goes across, and then there's his fence, but and then there's the sidewalk that's from Wall Street that goes straight up to the, what's going to be the Art Plaza. And there's, we've gotten really excited about this material that's made in New York, and it is never sold in New York. It's not paint. It's kind of paint, but it's a shiny substance you put on macadam and concrete. And my landscape architect has used it in Saratoga Springs, because this company's in Richfield or Springfield, I don't know. And I'm sorry, I don't know more about it, but they are using it in other countries in Europe to be pathways there are no pathways, so they're painting them up with this stuff that's, and it's vibrant and alive, and it's, it's not just an old sidewalk. And that was another idea we thought would be fabulous, is to be able to create that passageway from a different passageway from Main Street into the park. Because as you come from that direction, you're gonna look up and see a really pretty landscape with some pretty things and hopefully some art. But yeah, that's a very, I can send, if you're ever interested, I can send you. She has emailed me whatever this material is in the company, and she said nobody in New York is using it. Almost nobody in the country. It's all going international, and it's made in New York. So it's a cool idea. Yeah.
Another idea you could do is, it wouldn't be permanent, but it seems like there's a lot of flat spots. You could have like a call for public art, for temporary installations where people could show outdoor art there every summer.
I think that'd be great.
That way you don't have to pay for this. Is horrible because I'm like you need to like artists, but you wouldn't have to pay for it, right?
Right.
And people just might want to come and show their outdoor art, and you could jury it.
I know.
The library could jury it, and that way you get some art in there in the summer.
Yeah.
Just kinda
Especially if it was a
create space.
contest.
Yeah.
I think of a contest, and then there could be a prize, so we're
Yeah.
not, doing that thing you don't wanna do.
Yeah.
Not paying artists, it's still a little bit of an incentive. Because we thought about that, having a contest, having, an annual contest for art material that can be placed out. But that's a really nice idea too, just to have a day-long show even. It would be so
Right.
beautiful.
I mean, season long.
Yeah.
If you have some sort of concrete pad that a sculpture can go on
Yeah,
for the summer, and then
right.
the next year it's a different one.
Yeah.
You could
Yeah.
have an
Would they,
honorarium attached to it or something.
I
like
think,
that.
yeah, because this sculpture, there's this young woman I know, I don't know, you might know Annabelle Kellum, who's passed away. Her daughter is a sculptor with an MFA in Buffalo, and Marguerite Kellum. She's this phenomenal woman, so she's been my kind of sounding board. And she also said, if one of my sculptures gets put in a public place, I want to install it. And she's like, do you know what kind of footings it needs? You have to put concrete, you have to do all this prep, and it's expensive. And that's where I'm not sure what's reasonable. Is it best like that we would prepare it, or is it customized per piece, or do you know what I'm saying? That's where it gets tricky.
Are you redoing the walks? Are they redoing all the
Not
sidewalks?
all of them, not all of them.
But some of them, right?
Yep, especially up by the library.
Then you could sort of subtly have flat spots
Spots.
or pads that are, and if it's,
You might want a metal loop or something coming out of it that you
right,
can
Yeah, and
affix
that's not-
something
That's
to.
not that hard then,
Yeah.
if it's, just a regular pad that's not that hard.
and
No,
maybe
I-
talk to her and people who install these temporary outdoor sculptures, what they might, prefer.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
don't think it'd be that expensive.
I don't either. And I do love that idea. So you think they'd be okay with leaving them seasonally? Cause I always worry about the vandalism. Like what
I
happens
think you'd
if-
have to write up a contract
Yeah.
that takes that into account, and
Just
if
wonder.
you put out a call to artists, they know that that's
It's a
what
public
they're
art.
going to. I mean, Cherry Valley has their sculpture walk, right? I know you know
Yeah.
more about that.
I
than
just
me,
went,
So,
yeah.
There's one in Gilbertsville too.
It's
And-
right on the street. I'm gonna go there. I haven't been there.
It's awesome.
I don't know where it is. I need to.
but
find it.
how long are those pieces?
Oh, from like July to October.
Okay,
Season,
so
yeah.
people
But they're
Are
right on a
comfortable with
main
that structure.
road. They're right on a main road, basically.
Yeah,
So,
Lighting, have some good lighting.
yeah, exactly. I mean, we have great lighting, because that was phase one. We have great lighting, but, yeah, those are the things I worry about.
Well, it's the, if it can happen, it will happen. Do you affix those to the?
It's all different situations, and some of them were challenging this year, because a few of them are behind the Cherry Valley Museum. And of course, it rained for 10 days before we had to put them there, so the ground was so wet, we ended up having to put them in front of our little library, just because the ground was a little bit drier. So there were a lot, I did the map, so I had to keep changing the map up until the last minute, because where we were planning on putting the sculptures wasn't working out, we had to
So
keep
did
changing.
you have to put a concrete pad down for them too?
For some have a metal pad, you know,
Okay.
and some are just lying on the grass, so it really varied from each one. We sort of make use, we have at the Cherry Valley Monument Company there that has gravestones. So we sometimes use them, they help us with their crane, and they sometimes will give us a piece of
That's
granite.
really
Yeah, I
nice.
know, turn over if one has a typo or something. Yeah,
That's really nice. Yeah, I loved the guy that, what's he call himself, a steel man or something with the leg and the arm.
oh, yeah, yeah,
Gosh.
yeah, and it rotates.
I love that it moves.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah, yeah, that one was cool.
Yeah.
And we have a few small ones in the shop windows too, so.
Mhm.
I was surprised on your chart to see so many people wanted water.
Me too.
Yeah.
Because
I didn't expect
how
it.
many months of the year could that
Frozen.
work?
Uh-huh. And the rest of the year, the
How
winter.
many
people just know
weeks?
that's a thing that goes in parks. And
I guess.
People thinking Florida or something.
And I think Neil has got the, what is it called, where they squirt about?
Yeah.
And that's, I love that idea, I'd love to, but we just don't really have that kind of park, so,
Yeah, and there's a whole lot more infrastructure that goes along with those.
so expensive.
Yeah.
Lights or laser or something like that would be almost better than water.
She was saying that there would be cool lights that could be changed and that the water would just be a jet that would come out upon a button push. But we were just dreaming. So what she's gonna come back to me next week with is unknown. Cause she was gonna find out prices, cause I'm all about the maintenance. Well, where do you put the water? How do you do it? And so, you know, there's like, anyway, that we don't know what we're doing. We were dreaming hard and we're trying to respond to the water demand. So we don't know if we'll get to do that. It may be outrageously expensive, so.
The other digital thing you could do is have sort of, instead of pads, like maybe, somehow like a screen, like a small screen, maybe like person side or something like that. Not a screen, but it'd have to be like concrete or something permanent, and you could project images on it,
Yeah,
you know? And
yeah.
the sky's the limit with a projected image, and the technology's really out there. I don't know about, you know, how you protect that equipment and how you put it, not only from the elements, but from people, but I'm sure that it's done.
I know, it must be.
And then you could rotate, you know, you could like rotate the whole park. Like if you have like 6 screens, you could like have a theme, and I don't know, now I'm just dreaming too, but.
Oh, me too. I love that idea.
You know what might be interesting, Sculpture Space up in Utica, maybe you could talk with them and see if they want to get involved, because they have all those sculptors up there that are on, I guess, some type of a residency or fellowship. And the guy who's running that his name is Mark Anthony Pelosi. Very nice, and he might be very interested to talk with you if, you know, this moves forward, but at least that's a source of people who are making sculpture.
Right. Yeah, so I really appreciate your input, because I'm starting down here and you guys are, you know a lot more about it than I do. So I appreciate anything that you can share.
Now, is this something we could get a copy of? I just asked because if I can send this along to Greg to try to reallocate the money and say, hey, look, all this planning that's been done.
If you're good with me sharing it, I'll send it.
I just put it on your flash drive, so,
Okay.
because I couldn't work my thing, or I couldn't work my laptop. So yeah, you can have it. I can also shoot you to the website anytime, but this is a more updated picture than she gave me for the website yet. The website's sort of our first phase. This was our second after we got input, so.
Awesome.
I'm just in defense of water features. They are real, I was just in Bangkok and outside of a hotel on the river, they had, the water show where it's just beautiful lights.
See, I love
And
them.
it could be small and
Yeah.
you could probably do it if people really wanted.
Yeah.
Have little shows,
Yes.
lights and
I think it's
jets.
definitely a great idea, and I think for me, everyone's drawn to water, and I think obviously they all want, well, that's why they thought of water. I don't think it's because it's a seasonal thing, it's just people love water,
Mhm.
Yeah,
so,
and we have water. A lot of
yes.
people don't.
And I think, backing up a stage, part of the design of the park was sort of a microcosm of the Oneonta, greater Oneonta area with the high hills, and then, the hillside where the colleges are, and then it levels out to Main Street, and then the Susquehanna River. And so the edge of the park is sort of our Susquehanna River in that microcosm picture. And so we are planting that, hopefully this fall, to sort of give that, and I don't think anyone will notice it, but it's my favorite piece. I don't know why. I think the water thing. I just love the idea that we're sort of simulating this area of the world in a little tiny park. So, yeah, so hopefully we can put our heads together. I appreciate you guys' input very much, because I need it.
Can we get your email? It's
Absolutely.
Emily Jablon, Susan Jablon's her mom, who,
Okay.
she's where she,
Yep.
her resource.
It's on dot Twinstead, TWINSTEAD @gmail.
So you planting those giant yellow irises?
What?
Did you say you were simulating some of the vegetation? Did I just impose it?
We're not gonna actually do it that way.
Okay.
It's just
a
just
sense of
having
it.
the edge with the similar plantings, that's why, no one else will really even know that's what it is. It's just, I know that's what it is. So, yeah. Well, thank you guys.
Yeah.
Thank you.
for coming and talking.
Any
with
help
us.
you can offer, I will gladly take. I really, really appreciate it, because it's so hard to get things done, as you probably know. And it takes a very stubborn outlook and just really, you just have to decide you're gonna do it, whatever it takes.
Congratulations on getting as far as you've gotten.
Yeah,
Oh,
really.
that's very nice of you, thanks. Okay?
Have a wonderful evening.
Okay, yeah, thank you guys.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
So everyone agree in terms of if we can, taking any sort of chunk we have right now and kind of putting it into this, since we already have sort of a base to work off of, like you were saying, there's already a plan going on and they look to have a
Makes
pretty
sense to
solid
me.
one.
Yeah.
Okay.
I feel like it might have more of a chance of moving forward. I mean, it is somewhat long range, but it's already in motion.
Yeah, and it's within the DRI boundaries. I don't understand, does anyone knows why we have been pigeonholed to Market Street?
I don't know, I think we need to update on the situation.
Yeah,
That's-
I don't know.
yeah, that-
I mean, Market Street is really not the ideal spot.
No.
I assumed it was because DRI money was going to the parking garage down there and that they were trying to put all the
Yeah.
funding in one zone. So I don't know if that's the case. That was my
Okay.
assumption.
But we don't even have parking garages.
Right.
And it might be
So
just
maybe
worth
this is
questioning
close.
Yeah,
and
definitely.
seeing if we can nudge it in this direction. I mean, does everybody feel okay with abandoning our electric boxes or crosswalks or anything temporarily, while if we do get some money, we put it toward this?
Well, I think, so yes, and then with the smaller stuff, I like the idea of just having a sponsor an electric box type deal. Put out that application, so the individual or the group does the funding. It's ultimately gonna be a couple $100, nothing crazy for people to put together depending on the size. We take care of the logistics, that way we're not having to find funding, but we can still get some stuff, some color out there.
So we could sort of sell sponsorships of an electric box, and so the artists could have their artwork on it, and then underneath, on the bottom or something, we could have something that says, this artwork is sponsored by so-and-so, whatever,
Yeah, or,
something
you know,
like that. Because the
yeah.
sculptures in Cherry Valley have that.
Yeah,
We
or
got
maybe
people
the
to sculpt.
electrical box outside of one of the elementary schools, you know, the third grade class, they all pool their money, and this electric box was done by, you know, whatever, third grade. Just
That's
to
a cool
kind of
idea.
get some color, and right now funding is,
So if we think of other ways for those other things that we've talked about, and if we all get behind this park project, that could be beneficial.
okay, yeah, and that kind of touches on the application piece I have here for the new business. Is that the back page? Where'd that come from?
So, previous Chair Maloney had recommended the creation of a general, like a baseline policy to start with art installed temporarily on city property or right of way. It was more geared towards the crosswalks and the sidewalks. So this is kind of a shot in the dark first draft from somebody who knows absolutely nothing about art, but knows how to use a computer and tried her best.
I think about it.
So take a look, there is no,
Because with the sponsorship, that's something we can get out pretty quickly once we have some sort of application process, and you don't have to worry about funding. We've already done a lot of legwork in terms of talking with the appropriate parties of where we can paint on the boxes themselves and or wraps.
You know, something just, I don't know if I mentioned this thing, there's this website called Cafe, for open calls for artists, and it solves a million problems as far as people submitting artwork, and you create a jury, process of like 6 people make up the jury, but this we just got it at school, and, it is a godsend.
Is there a fee to be part of it as an
You
organization?
gotta get a subscription.
Yeah,
With the organization, and then I think maybe the first open call is included in that initial fee, but then you also have to pay per open call, and then there's even a small fee per applicant. But it's not terrible. I can't quite remember, but it's, first of all, it reaches.
Slide room is.
Exactly, like that. It just kind of makes life easy for the people who are trying to give everyone a fair shot, and you don't have to worry about, you know, things uploading or getting lost in email. It's working out so far.
So it hosts the uploading and that sort of forwarding of all the information, everything, so you don't need to build that into the city's website. So.
Right, and artists go here to find out what opportunities are available to them.
Yes.
What's that?
I'm on the mailing list.
Okay, good. And so you got an audience already, and then you can also just advertise that your thing is up there so that you can reach, you know, so, yeah. So maybe that might be helpful in the future.
And with no budget, it's hard to, you know,
I know.
to know how many hundreds of dollars we can spend on
yeah, I think we call for a budget update, maybe, a money update.
Yeah, and we, last meeting before, I think Jim mentioned that there was now a timeline of when our budget could be used by.
Oh,
But
like
it's
a
all-
deadline?
Yeah, but I haven't heard anything more. I was hoping Emily would be here, she might have known more about that.
So,
Can we request that for our August meeting, maybe?
Yeah. That way we at least know what we're working with. Maybe Greg, when I email him about the park, can have some sort of update on that as well. And then Carrie, this might be more of a question for you, since Emily's not here. the master plan, I know that's gone to common council once and was sent back.
Yeah, it's being, my understanding is that it was sent to city staff provided comments. Now we're looking to see if those comments have been sent on to the commission. So if you don't know about them, I'm gonna guess that they haven't, because.
Does anyone know about them?
No.
Okay.
Okay, they have
So
not then.
I will reach out to Greg and,
Yeah, cause I mean, you mentioned your application, you know, referencing the master plan,
Correct.
it's not something approved yet, I don't know how far we can go forward with anything really.
so I'll reach out to him, we'll get another copy of the comments sent out, and we'll go from there.
And the foothills and public safety building, brought up every meeting, but I mean, this point with no funding, they're kind of on standstill unless they can somehow fund themselves. Ian, I know you've been talking on and off with Foothills. Have you heard anything from them in terms of what their thoughts are?
Not recently.
Okay.
I mean, they are within our most recently approved zone. So
Yeah.
that's fine.
That's why it was something that was, this could be potential.
And the last I heard of it, all save for one was really gung ho to have it done, and they were kind of waiting for that person to step down at the end of the year, and then they were just gonna bring it up again.
Okay.
So, I had only heard positive and excited things about
Okay.
doing it.
So I guess maybe once we actually have a handle on the budget, and if we can't reallocate it to Huntington Park and it can only be on Market Street, we can kind of push that avenue again. Alright, so I guess in terms of short term, we gotta get the master plan all taken care of, so when we get the comments back, let's try to have that all taken care of before next meeting. And then in terms of the utility boxes, it just came down to who owns them, and then we just have to contact them when we wanna do something with them.
Are they all owned by different people?
I think it's either NICEAG or the city.
Joe's locked.
Right.
Yeah, so Jim had specifically asked about the ones adjacent to the Clinton Plaza. Those three large ones at the top, the middle, and closer to the garage. All three of those are NICEAGs.
Okay. But if we do the sort of sponsor your own, it could potentially be a NICEAG one, I'm assuming?
There would have to be some sort of an agreement with NICEAG.
Okay.
So otherwise, we need to know which ones the city owns.
Yeah, so then I guess we focus on what the city has, cause I figured that'd probably be easier to get approval. How would we go about that? Is there a list that we can find or get a hold of?
I wonder if engineering would know.
Yeah, definitely.
And I wonder if they're color coded.
We have.
Because the ones that we're thinking of, the big ones are all green, but then all the ones on the light poles are silver. So I kind of, there's a little part of me that wonders if all the silver ones are city and green are nicer.
That'd be nice if that
It
was
would
the
be
case, just walk around it, oh, there you go. Okay. So yeah. I guess that's it for the new business. So master plan, hop in the comments. If we can get that list for the utility boxes, I'll email Greg about the money, and if we can get a budget update. Anyone else have anything to add on any of that?
What should we do with the application? Read it and bring comments
Yeah,
back?
good point. Let's read it over, cause we still can't really do much until the master plan is approved, but if we can read this over, make tweaks, change things, add things, cause if we can have a application that's ready to go, we've been sort of sitting still for a year, so it'd be nice to be able to at least have something ready if we have anything to push forward.